You're welcome back. You've been watching Business Morning from Yanagua, the Bayelsa capital, and we've been talking about the investment and economic forum of this state for the past 2 days. Right now, we've been joined by N800million N900million. She is the Director General of the Bayelsa Partnership Initiative Agency. Thank you, N800. I hope I got your name correct.
You did.
You're welcome on the program. Okay, when we talk about investments and economic investment in Bayelsa, how does your agency come to be a part of it? What role does it take?
Okay, my agency has been recently set up to coordinate all forms of partnership, multi-sectoral partnerships in the state. We realized that because of the state, the terrain of the state, it's going to be difficult for government alone to develop the state. And because the vision of this government is to have a sustainable, developed economy in the state, we need to work with all forms of partners. So my agency is working on public-private partnerships, multilateral partnerships, corporate social responsibility, working with the companies who operate in the state in their development projects. And we are also working on volunteer organizations. We are coordinating and aligning all these activities in line with the state's vision so that most of the time you do not have duplication of efforts. And we're also working from the community level to ensure that the communities have a vision, the communities understand that they should be developed, and they can also work well with companies that are operating in those areas. So we're starting from the grassroots to ensure that the state is developed. And another part of what we are doing is working on the SME area, assisting in ensuring that the state, assisting in ensuring that SMEs are developed, because you understand that if you want to develop an economy, you must start from the SMEs. There needs to be an alignment with the SMEs and the big companies or the big investors that are coming in. So that is in a nutshell what we're doing.
So how does it appear to you when the Governor Treasury Dixon talked about the fact that there is going to be an SME fund in Bayelsa? We're looking at between 20 and 25 billion that will be set up to help grow small businesses here in the state.
We're excited about it. We're working on it. I know he talked a lot about the fund. We realized even from some of the discussions we had yesterday that it's very difficult for SMEs to access funds, especially when you're in a state like Bayelsa. And banks not only look at collaterals, they look at cash flows and a lot of other things, and the interest rates are quite expensive. Now, what the state is doing with the SME fund is starting from the beginning. The state has set up an enterprise development center in collaboration with the Niger Delta University to train entrepreneurs. Now, after the training, those of them who qualify with bankable projects, some of them are already experienced entrepreneurs, but those who now have bankable projects will now be able to access the funds. Now, what we are doing is setting up a unit to monitor and mentor them, so that they don't just take the money because it's not a gift. It's a loan which they have to repay and which will be used to develop other businesses. So we're setting up a unit that will monitor the loans that have been given, monitor the businesses, mentor them, ensure that these businesses grow. Where we find out that they have issues, try to resolve it. So it's very exciting, and we hope that by the time this is achieved, we would have sustainable businesses who are not depending on government for survival, who can stand on their own, who can have affiliations with other companies in other parts of the country and outside the world. And at the same time, we get some form of IGR from them. Yes.
IGR, that's very key here because we talked about that a while ago. Now, you talked about youth, the youth, SMEs, grooming young people, youth empowerment as the case may be. I just want to ask you, in what way are you really working with these youths? Because we've had a history, not just in Bayelsa now, the Niger Delta, we had youth unrest, especially in the oil exploring communities. But what is your agency doing to ensure that we do not have the same issue? We don't have the repeats of what happened years back in grooming those people, in growing their talent and being able to allow them be part of what the Bayelsa government is doing?
Okay, one of the things we have in pipeline outside, but I'll start with that, then go back to what some of the things the state is doing. One of the things we have in pipeline now is to start a capacity building workshop for entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs, because we want, first of all, for them to confirm whether they have a vision to be business people. You need to separate those who want to be business people from those who want to work, and from those who want to just go to school. And the state is already taking care of the education aspect of it in terms of the scholarships for the secondary schools, the scholarships for universities within and outside the country. So what we are doing is we're working on a workshop to go around the local governments and round up in Yenegua, where we would have a sensitization session. We are going to have a lot of the people there go through questionnaires so that they can identify what their passion is. We're also we're also working towards collaborating with some of the multinational companies who have been doing projects in the States working with youths. But this time, collaborate with government to have an alignment. That way you do not have duplication of efforts, and most of the time you can't measure results. So we need to work with them. So we have a database of these youths, what they are doing, and we will monitor them until they are settled.
Okay, we're running out of time. I just want to ask you one or two questions if we are able to do that. When we look at areas, because you talked about partnership now, what areas are you concentrating on in terms of the most important part when you talk about developing Bayelsa State economically?
Well, already we have partnerships in the medical section. We're working on that. We have a volunteer session for the medical team, and that is in progress. We're looking at partnerships in agriculture. I'm sure you've heard so much about the terrain, the rice, the fishing, and of course we have sugarcane. So we're looking at that in agriculture. We're looking at partnerships in oil and gas, the value chain in oil and gas. We're looking at that. We're looking at partnerships in infrastructure, then of course in tourism, because there's so much potential in this state in tourism. So I think in a nutshell, we have a lot more than that, because I'm sure you were talking about time. But those are some of the major areas. We're also still looking at partnerships in education, training the teachers. We're working with some Canadians to train our teachers, because you understand that it's very important from the beginning to have proper, well-qualified workforce, so that the companies who come here will have people to work with. We're also looking at partnerships in communications, in ICT. There's a lot of potentials in this state.
Now, finally, let me ask you, how much will you really need in terms of funding? Because you've spelled out a whole lot of areas that you would want to go into, you want to develop, you want to, do. But in terms of funding, how do you intend to go about all of these things?
While we're looking for partners, there's one key thing we have noted, which is what we're working on, and that's why we're also profiling our projects. We need to show the investors the money. That is one. We need to show them how they'll get back their funds. The other thing we need to do is to sensitize our people so that they know that for you to achieve a goal, you need to invest and make certain sacrifices. And at the end of the day, it's all good and well for the people. So in terms of funding, of course, sometimes we look at facilities, but we're looking for investors who will bring in their funds into the state, work with us, and get returns. Then for the development partners, because of the reports we will do, acknowledge the work they are doing, especially for the corporate social responsibility projects. They can account for the funds that they've put in the state. So we're actually working to ensure that everything we do at the end of the day is going to be a win-win situation between us and our partners.
Now, what timeline are you giving all of this? Because after this forum is ended, work is already in earnest, I want to believe.
Yes.
But what timeline are you giving all of these things? 4 years? Because the present administration, like he was talking about whether he's going to come back to office, that the Bayelsans will decide that. But what timeline are you going to give all of this? For at least let's begin to see appreciable results in these areas.
Yes, I believe by next year we'll see some a lot of visibility in most of these areas. And with what the governor is doing, I believe he's coming back. And I believe by the time he leaves, by the end of his second tenure, it will be very difficult for anybody to go back on what he's done and what he's achieved.
Okay.
So I'm very optimistic about that.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. It's quite an interesting and very incisive conversation with you, N800million N900million. She is the Director General of the Bayelsa Partnership Initiative. So thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And on that note, we wrap up Business Morning. We do appreciate your time with us. Don't forget, we are here in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State Capital, where the first Economic and Investment Forum has been ongoing, and the theme of that event has been unlocking Bayelsa economic potentials, opportunities, and challenges. Work is already in earnest, and we expect more to be done after this forum is completed. And that's it on Business Morning. Thank you for watching. I am Bolaji Akinwale.